Welcome to my channel DocTalksOnline. So today I'm making a video from home. This video has an interesting story. I got up today and was going through my messages on Facebook. A good friend of mine posted something about milk, and it struck me that there's so much out there about milk that I should clear this up. At least whatever I have learned in all these years of practicing medicine, reading about stuff. So let's talk about milk. Why is it that we consume such a high amount of milk? You might say, I don't consume that much milk. The fact is, in the US, a liter of milk per person is consumed every day. Now you might say, I don't consume it. Well, you have to look at milk from milk products such as not just milk, cheese, yogurt, and anything that has milk-based products. It still counts together as consumption of milk. So let's talk about India, for example, right? I'm Indian. I grew up in India. I'm actually a half Punjabi, and there's an interesting story about being Punjabi, and a lot of you Punjabis will relate to me. Drinking milk was just a cultural thing. It was so severe. Every morning you had to get up in the morning, drink a glass of milk. Afternoon you come home from school, again a glass of milk. My mother wouldn't let us sleep if we didn't have a glass of milk. And still, even after drinking all that milk, I'm still 5'5". So I don't even look like a Punjabi. In fact, when my relatives came from North India, they would be like, "Enu tusi dudh nahi pilande." It's like, come on, I had enough milk in my life already. Now here's the other funny part. I used to go to school. In the first couple of hours, I'm sleepy there, sleepy like crazy, and I would yawn, and I would have no idea why I'm so sleepy. It took me maybe 30 more years to figure this out. So when you consume milk, milk has tryptophan, and tryptophan is a natural sleep-inducing drug. It's an amino acid, but it naturally induces sleep. It's no surprise that a human child would be sleeping 16 hours a day. Once they consume breast milk from their mother, the baby just sleeps. That's why we have the phrase, sleep like a baby. So one of the things that was happening was I couldn't pay attention in the first few hours of my school time. And then I come home at night, I drink milk, and boom, I'm out. And now I, of course, know why that was so. So one thing, milk consumption is cultural. But you got to also understand the context of it. I grew up in the 70s, early 70s in India. And by that time, the US dairy revolution had reached India. Humans are a very peculiar mammalian species. Well, look at it this way. Look at all the mammals. Cats, dogs, lions, camels, elephants, giraffes. You will not find a mammal that will go across species and be sucking on the nipples of another animal and drinking their milk. You will never find a camel drinking a donkey's milk, or a lion sucking on the breast of an elephant and drinking milk. It is very peculiar that we as mammals have chosen to drink milk of another species. It just doesn't happen in nature. And of course, we know the stories about the Aryans coming, conquering India and taking over the locals there and bringing the Nandi cow, for example, and milk became such a big part of Indian culture, and milk-based ghee became such a big part of Indian culture. I get all that. But still, our milk consumption wasn't where it is today. Cows only provide milk for their calves. The cow delivers a calf, the calf needs milk, and the udders fill up with milk, and only through that breastfeeding phase does the cow provide milk. What we've done now is mechanized it. We give them growth hormones, and the cow just has milk throughout the year. I mean, think about if all women actually were to produce milk the whole year round. It would be abnormal, wouldn't it be? Yes, that's exactly what we've done to the cows. We're the only species that actually consumes another species' milk. It has to be unnatural. There is no other species that does this. Milk has a role in development. So the calf, when it grows up to 8 times the mass of the baby calf. So the cow, it really produces milk that has 3 times as much protein as much as human milk. So each species produces milk that's appropriate for that species. So human milk is great for human babies. Cow's milk is great for cows. It just isn't great for human beings. In the old days, there's no way for you to store milk, right? I mean, there was no refrigeration. Milk spoils, as all of you know. You had to have fire to pasteurize it. I don't think humans knew about pasteurization before Louis Pasteur. Milk was not something that was portable, was not something that could be stored. So I doubt that milk was that big of a deal in human evolution in terms of us growing bigger, taller, or whatever have you, especially given the Punjabi mindset that you drink milk and you'll be tall and you'll be strong and you'll be a man. I mean, even now I lose relatives because they'll say, "Tu dudh nahi pinda?" And I'm like, get over this. I don't drink milk, thank you. I mean, it puts me to sleep. Here's another thing to it. In the US, back in the 50s, they used to bring milk in a bottle, and they would have this milk is good, calcium, got milk, which you still see these ads in the newspaper. Well, we've been producing a lot of milk. We re-engineered the cows that used to make only milk for their calf. Now the cow can feed like 50 other calves. Not only that, that cow can now feed humans. We make sure that the cow perpetually remains in a lactation phase. We've genetically engineered them. So now we have a huge amount of milk and we don't know what to do with it. Well, what does the industry do? If you look at the federal regulatory agencies, they're filled with people from the industry. So in the 50s, 60s, it was no different. They went ahead and marketed the hell out of milk. So they got to find one or two things in it that are really good, that sound good. And of course, calcium. Milk is white calcium. So, listen, it's great for your bones, this and that. Now, where's the data for all that? It's very sketchy, really. I mean, I haven't really found data that is really, really good to say that milk is good for you, milk has calcium, that's great for you. I haven't found that. All I can tell you is one of the best studies out there is called the Nurses' Health Study, and I think you should read it. It's crazy because if you type in Google, the Harvard link that comes has it only mentioned as a reference, okay? Even though the study was conducted by Harvard, they're actually all pro-industry as well. So again, I'm not here to bash the milk industry, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying from a human perspective, what is it about milk that we are all getting crazy about milk, forcing our kids to have milk and living in this thought bubble that milk is good? And that's where I'm coming from, really. The Nurses' Health Study is a study where they took like 50 or 70,000 nurses. They studied them over a 12-year period. They ranged in age between mid-30s to like late 50s. And it's a prospective study, one that you don't do any interventions, you just observe them and you keep periodically checking them, getting data points, and it's a very long-term study. It's very expensive to do. So this Nurses' Health Study is a phenomenal study. So it's the best way of collecting data because there's no intervention, there's no bias, and it is what it is. But guess what they found in this study? Nurses that consumed 2 or more glasses of milk actually had higher hip fractures, I think 1.4 times people who consumed 1 glass or less. Also had more forearm fractures. So here you go. You consume milk, more milk you consume, more fractures you have. So this whole theory about milk is quite shaky to begin with. And evolutionarily it doesn't make sense. And I'll give you another evolutionary reason why it doesn't make sense. Lactase enzyme deficiency is a very common deficiency. It's actually not really a deficiency, it's an evolutionary thing. So when babies are born, they will be consuming milk and milk has lactose. So there better be a lactase enzyme to digest it so that the sugar can be freed up so the child can actually grow. Now, as you grow older by 5, 6, 7 or 8, the intestinal gut stops making the lactase enzyme. And that's why it's the commonest deficiency of humans. And there's nothing wrong with that. That is actually an evolutionary thing. And that just proves that we were not designed to keep pouring milk into our intestines till the day we die. When we find people with lactase deficiency, they're just normal, regular people. Then what about the people that actually don't have the lactase deficiency? Well, we evolved too. This is just the human condition. A lot of us just evolved and now we are able to make the lactase enzyme even longer. And that's why you and I are able to consume yogurt, we are able to consume cheese. And then there are those people that are just evolutionarily still the same pure-bred humans that they were, that the lactase enzyme no longer gets made. That again proves what I'm trying to say is having milk as part of your regular diet, or at least cow's milk or buffalo milk or goat milk or sheep milk or camel milk is just not normal. And we have enough tribes in Africa and in countries like China and Thailand, for example, lactase deficiency is very common. But did they raise children? Yeah. And did those children grow up normally? Yes. That's why we have human beings in these countries. So going back to this whole milk issue that we have, we all need to understand that it is a cross-species milk. It may or may not be good for you. I'm not in the category that says it's good for you. I'm also not in the category that says it's harmful, because really I'm not here to take sides. I just want to open your eyes to this. Now, what do I do in my own life, for example? Well, I've phased myself out of consuming milk. So currently I consume soy milk, almond milk, that's fine for me. I'm not necessarily telling you to not consume milk. I just want you to understand that when people say, oh, the other thing, people say, protein, milk has protein. That's another whole discussion, and I'll probably make a video on protein intake and muscle buildup and this gym business and all of that. Just understand something. Humans have been around for 200,000 years as Homo sapiens. Your body is an evolutionarily developed machine. You got to learn how to use your body the way it was designed. In other words, you can't take a Ferrari car and put kerosene in it and think it'll fly like a plane. It just won't happen. So if you understand yourself, you understand your own body, you probably will be able to make the right choices as to what you should be consuming, shouldn't be consuming, and what is right and what is probably, big question mark, and then leave it at that. I'm not somebody who knows all the answers, and I don't claim to be one of them. But I just want you to understand that when you see something like that, when people talk about or propagate a message that talks about milk, for example, and that's the topic of our discussion today, to really have that window and understand that there's more to it than what meets the eye. I hope this video was very helpful for you guys. Thank you so much and keep watching. Subscribe to my channel, Doc Talks Online. I'd love to hear your comments. And please feel free to share these videos with your friends and family. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye.